Hi guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to look at time complexity using the big O notation. By the end of this lecture, if you're given an algorithm, you should be able to say the time complexity of it. We're also going to look at different values of these time complexities and compare them and see which one works out the best. Alright, let's get started. Let's understand linear time complexity with an example. Let's say you have to travel from your house to your office every day in a bus, okay? And the distance between every two stops is 2 kilometers. Okay, how many kilometers do you need to travel? Well, it depends on how many stops are there on the way. If the number of stops increases by 1, you'll have to travel an additional of 2 kilometers. So what is the pattern that you see here? You see that the distance that you need to travel is linearly increasing with the number of stops. And why am I saying linearly increasing? Why not quadratic or something? Okay, for that if you plot a graph, right, of how many stops are there and what is the distance that you need to travel in order to cover them. For one stop you need to cover 2 kilometers, for 2, 4, and then for 3, 6. You see there's a straight line, right? This could be anywhere, the initial could be anything. It doesn't have to start with 0 here, okay? Just understand that. Anyways. So if it's a straight line, that means it's linearly increasing. If there were 4 stops, you would have to travel 8 kilometers. So this is linear. Why am I not saying constant time? Because understand one thing. When my output is a function of my input, right? When the output depends on how many inputs I'm getting, what is the length of my input, then it cannot be constant. Right? If I said that every time I have to travel 2 kilometers no matter how many stops come in between, then I would say that okay, it's not linear because you're stuck at 2 kilometers, always traveling 2 kilometers, but that's not the case. It's linearly increasing with the number of inputs. Okay. Now let's take one example of when we would say that it's constant time. Okay. So let's say you're really bored of traveling 8 kilometers every day, it can be really boring. So your friend decides to give you company under one condition. He tells you that he will travel the first 2 stops with you every time. It doesn't matter to him where the bus lands him on the second stop, but then he's going to get down there and only give you company till there. And he doesn't even care if the number of stops are going to increase tomorrow. He's only going to travel 2 stops with you. Okay. So that means he's always going to travel 4 kilometers, right? 2 stops, 4 kilometers. No matter the input. Therefore, your output does not depend on the input and stays constant. That's when you say that the time complexity of your algorithm is constant. Therefore, if I plot a graph of the distance traveled by your friend, depending on how many stops are there, it always happens to be 4, right? So this is how your graph is going to look. It's a flat line here, right here. You see that if it was tilted, right, that means it was varying with the input, but it's not, it's just constant, right? So this is how the graph of constant time looks. Now let's take a code example. Let's say you have to return the largest element of an unsorted array, which is here. So you need to see every element to be able to decide which is the largest element. You never know, right? The largest element could be the last element, it could be the first element, it could be anything. But you would never know. You will have to traverse all the elements to find out which is the largest element. That means if the given number of elements are n, you have to look at each and every element, that is all the n elements, to be able to say the largest element. Therefore, the time complexity of this is order of n. Okay. Now let's say that I tell you that the largest element will definitely be present in the first half of the array. Okay. So let's say 9 is here and 3 is here. So I'm giving you a condition that the largest element will always be in the first half. So you don't need to bother about the second half. Okay. Therefore, you're going to run your algorithm from 0 to length by 2, right? Okay. So that means if you're given n elements, you only have to look at n by 2 elements. Okay. So where does this leave me? Like, what is the time complexity of this? So you would want to say that the time complexity of this is O of n by 2. But when we are talking about time complexity, we don't take constants into account. So if your time complexity is of the form an plus b, where a can be a constant. In this case it is 1 by 2, and b, let's say you for some reason you have to do 2 more operations, so you do plus 2 or something, there is some other constant here. It doesn't matter, you're still going to say that the time complexity of this is O of n. However, if you are given an array whose size is n, and I tell you that the largest element is always the first element, what would you do in that case? You would simply return a of 0 irrespective of the size of the array. So what would be the time complexity for this? It would be constant, right? Because you don't care about the length. You always return a of 0. Now let's understand when can you say that the time complexity of your algorithm is O of n square. So there's a trick here that I'll tell you that you can follow to find that out. So you're given 2 for loops, okay? They are nested, but forget about the nesting for now. This, how many times will this for loop runs? It runs length minus 1 time, so the time complexity for this is linear, for this alone. For the outer loop also, forget about what's inside it. As a loop, the time complexity of it is n. If you find loops like this that are nested and their individual complexity is O of n for the individual for loop to run, then that means for every input the inner for loop is running n times. Then the time complexity of this is O of n square. However, if you have 2 for loops that are not nested but their individual time complexities are order of n, that is linear, then they just get added. That means the time complexity becomes n plus n, not into plus n. So that is O of 2n, which is nothing but O of n. So if they were nested, it would be O of n square. However, they are not nested, they are next to each other. Therefore, we have to take their individual complexities and add them, which is O of n. Now let's understand with a real life example to see when can you say that the complexity of your algorithm is O of log n. Let's say you go to eat somewhere with your friend and you are asked whether you like non-veg or veg. Let's say you like veg. So the next question is, do you like paneer or mushroom? You say paneer. So you totally ignore the non-veg menu, and then you are completely ignoring what is under mushroom. You come to paneer, and then in paneer you decide whether you want to have paneer tikka or butter paneer. So you say you want to have paneer tikka. So what pattern do you observe here? That given an input, right, you're completely ignoring half of the input and you only care about the rest of the half. You repeat this process again with whatever is left. Again you ignore half of it and only care about the other half. How can we see this through code? Let's try to put the analogy that we just learned into code. Okay, let's take binary search for example. We might have heard that the time complexity of a binary search algorithm is O of log n. Let's understand why is it O of log n. So what do we do in a binary search? Let's say the element to search is 1. You go to the mid element and you see if 1 is less than 4, therefore definitely 1 is going to be present in the second half. So you altogether ignore the second half, right? Again you find the mid element, which is 2. 1 is less than 2, so you will find 1 in the first half, so you altogether ignore the second half. And then you finally find 1 and return it. Isn't it the same pattern as we saw when you go out to eat with your friend, where you completely ignore one half of the menu? Similarly here, you're trying to ignore one half of your array because you know that the answer is not going to be present there. When this kind of situation occurs, the complexity of your algorithm is O of log n. Now let's understand how do we compare these different time complexities. Why do we even need to compare them in the first place? Let's say you have written a program, you have written 3 different functions, okay? One of them runs in O of n time, another one in n square and another one in log n. You add all the time complexities, right? But you are told what is the final big O notation, what is the, as a whole, what is the time complexity of your entire program. You can't say this. In that case, you'll have to give them one answer. It has to be either of these. When it's a plus, right, it has to be either of these. How do you decide that? If you look at the graph here, right, you need to see which is the most rapidly increasing functions out of all these time complexities. O of 1 is constant. O of log n, it increases but not so rapidly. Even though the input is increasing, the output is not increasing so much, right? O of n is linearly increasing. O of n square, whereas for a very small input has reached a very high value. So it is rapidly increasing. Out of these three, it is most rapidly increasing. Therefore, as a summary, I would say that the time complexity of the entire program is O of n square. Similarly, if n square was not there here, what would be the time complexity? Would it be n or log n? It would be n, right? Because n comparatively is increasing more rapidly as compared to log n. So then the time complexity would be O of n. That's it in this video, guys. In case you want short notes in the same topic, you can follow me on Instagram and you can find the link in the description box below. Don't forget to subscribe in case you want more such content.